Hello, today I'm going to discuss some upgrades regarding my Canyon Inflite CF SL bike. I made on this bike easily more than 1000 kilometers, so I'm in a good position to say something about pros and cons regarding this bike. So starting from the frame, this is the SL frame, which is not the lightest in line applied to this model from Canyon factory. They also produce model with SLX frame, which is a bit lighter, but I think this one is quite a good deal because it's still carbon frame. It's stiff, relatively light, and this particular model comes with carbon wheels. So this wheel set from Reynolds AR41DB is not the highest level when it comes to carbon wheels produced by Reynolds, but they keep speed very well. They have quite deep section, like it's very universal, even on mountains or also in the flat. Although not the lightest weight, it's about 1 kilo 600 grams. They are very, very solid, and moreover they are capable to accept tubeless tires like the one which I installed on this bike. Instead of original Schwalbe One, I installed Schwalbe G One Speed tubeless easy tires. So just because most often I ride on tarmac, and gravel is for me a kind of optional thing. So I want this bike to accelerate easily on tarmac and even compete with the typical road bike. So you can see this pattern here is like small dots. It's very, very grippy. They're very nice when it comes to cornering. I tested it in the mountains and also in wet conditions, so I think this is very, very universal, very tough, very solid, quite light tire. So I would recommend it to everyone who has XC bike or even road endurance bike. Alright, when it comes to changes and upgrades, most of them I applied to the Drivetrain. So originally this bike came from factory with a 42 front chainring. I replaced it with 46 chainring because I want to have the higher top speed, which is more similar to the one that we can achieve on a typical road bike or race bike. With 40 teeth chainring in front, I was not able to ride like more than 42-45 kilometers per hour. So I decided to change this part as the first thing in this bike. Another small adjustment is I removed this chain guide here, which was originally installed on those two screws right here. Just because I'm not riding in the mud or some tough conditions, I'm usually riding on the road. So I think this is not necessary, and as far as I was riding, I never experienced any problems with chain. So the tension is very good. It never dropped. When it comes to rear section of the Drivetrain, so there are some very interesting adjustments. So the first accommodation, which gives me a more flexibility when it comes to steeper climbs, is a replacement of the cassette. So here you can see this is the XTR MTB cassette 1130 tooth. So this is like a bit easier to pedal with this cassette in comparison to the original one, which was 1136. And also, to be able to switch gears on the rear, I have to replace the rear cage of the derailleur. So the original one was too short to accommodate to the biggest chainring on the front, like 42. So I bought this one from Garber company. It's a Polish company which produce very lightweight parts from bikes. So this was the very good deal for me. So the installation was really easy. So there is also some advantage of this change when it comes to performance. So as far as I know, those big jockey wheels doesn't cause the chain to bend too much. So potentially you can ride with less of a friction. When it comes to all the smallest changes to this bike, I installed a token carbon set post and also physics saddle with carbon rails. So this is just because the original set post was very heavy. Although it was carbon, it has the steel head with two very heavy bolts, and it was not capable to absorb shocks like this one, which is especially designed for MTB bikes. But as I said, this bike for me is kind of commuting all-arounder that I would use mostly for riding to work and back, and maybe for high volume trainings. One small additional change is disc brakes. So actually not this brake, but just this. So originally they were Sram force disc, but I changed it to the Dura Ace, which are a bit more aerodynamic, and the overall look of them is for me is much better. So this was just kind of improvement that for me just affect the look of the bike, like for example those tapes on handlebars. Originally they were black. I replaced them with green, kind of similar to the frame. It's not the same because it's hard to find out on the market exactly the same color, but as you can see, it's became a bit dirty. I don't know how to wash it. It's very deep. I using kind of degreaser, but I don't know, it doesn't work. Apart from this, I also added this key edge grip for my Garmin. As you can see, my Garmin is a bit retarded. It's also almost 4 years, so I'm thinking about replacing this computer. However, it works very well, but the battery is not as efficient as it was in the beginning. When it comes to some general feelings about this bike after some ride, I must say that this is quite stiff and very responsive bike. However, it's not as fast as typical race bike that I was using before. It was really not as fast as some of you might remember. So this is kind of a transition between MTB or gravel and pure race road bike. But as a commuting bike, it's very nice machine. I feel more safe on this bike, especially because of disc brakes in comparison to rim brakes, and also it has wider tires. It's like those Schwalbe G One are 32 millimeters wide, so I feel very comfortable when it comes to riding on the road with high traffic. So when some huge car pass through you, you can jump to the side of the road easily without the hesitation. So for me, it's like safety plus comfort. You can ride also on much lower pressure, which gives you a better shock absorbing. Apart from this, as I said, I think in the beginning, I installed those pedals from Look company. They are Look Extract carbon titanium, the same like I have on my MTB bike. So why two-sided MTB pedals? Because as a commuting bike, you stop on traffic lights very often, so clipping in and clipping out on this bike is much easier for me. But I think about replacing occasionally into road pedals, which transfers powers and measure my power much better. But you know, in case of some races or some small competitive trainings, I don't know, we'll see. And one important thing in the end. So as you can see here, this is kind of a strange shoulder bend of the frame. It's for if you would like to carry this bike on some tough terrain. It's very convenient, although it might not appear very pretty for some of you, but I must say this is very functional. So carrying this bike is one of the biggest advantage. When it comes to the cons, it's not very I would say soft bike. There are some endurance bikes on the market like Trek the Money or some models from Specialized that are of course much more expensive, but they have those systems like ISO speed, also ISO speed for the front, kind of shocks absorbing, so you might feel even more comfortable on those bikes. But this one is for for cyclocross racers, but this is accommodated a bit for road riding by me. That's it. If you have any questions regarding this model, please leave it in the comment below. Thank you.